Hello friends, how are you? Today we're going to talk about a complex topic, and I'll try to explain it in the simplest way possible. Later on, I'll give a full conference about it. The subject is cognitive sovereignty, a term that has gained attention recently because of the powerful impact that networks, algorithms, ideology, and advertising have on our minds. We are immersed in a system that constantly conditions us. Our mental territories disputed by algorithms, beliefs, and persuasive systems. The key question is, how do we recover the ability to think, feel, and act? According to our own judgment, as cognitive therapists and cognitive behavioral psychologists, we understand how algorithms are constructed and how the mind works. Cognition refers to the higher mental functions: attention, sensation, perception, memory, and thinking. A useful definition of cognitive sovereignty is this: the ability to maintain executive control over one's mental processes in the face of external manipulation and internal automatisms such as conditioning. In other words, it is about governing the inner workings of your own mind, shifting from automatic processing to controlled, conscious processing. This does not mean we should never react. Rather, the mind allows us to become aware of an event and move from reaction to reflection. Replace reaction with awareness. Cognitive sovereignty refuses to be dragged by fear, external validation, or the constant need for approval. Imagine removing this need, as if it were a vital necessity. We would become far more difficult to control. It is a kind of cognitive insurrection, recognizing that we are responsible for shaping our identity, our self-esteem, and our personal validation. The construction of identity cannot depend solely on social networks. Society influences us, yes, but our value is not determined by what others say we are worth. We are not meant to sell ourselves to the highest bidder. When we remain immersed in this high-pressure environment, things happen that we don't not these. Research shows that when a person becomes conscious of conditioning processes, conditioning becomes much more difficult. Remember Ivan Pavlov's classical conditioning experiment. A light was paired with food until the dog salivated at the light alone. The dog lacked human awareness. If a similar conditioning process is applied to humans, awareness makes conditioning far less effective. The same applies to operant conditioning. When we recognize reinforcement patterns, they lose power. Today, many thinkers speak about attention capitalism, a system designed to capture and monetize our attention. Endless scrolling triggers pleasure circuits and releases dopamine, reinforcing repetitive behavior. You may start scrolling consciously, thinking you will stop, yet 10 minutes later, you are still there, having forgotten what you intended to do. This is powerful because scrolling generates pleasure responses in the brain. However, we are more than our brains. We are subjects with history, culture, values, imagination, humor, and the capacity to interpret reality. We are not machines. Still, chronic scrolling can produce persistent distraction. Research from institutions such as Stanford University and MIT suggests that excessive digital multitasking can significantly reduce cognitive efficiency, impair working memory, and diminish our capacity to sustain attention. Multitasking, as commonly understood, is misleading. Often we perform one task consciously while others run automatically. When we attempt to perform multiple tasks consciously, mental performance declines and cognitive fatigue increases. 3 main pillars define cognitive sovereignty. 1. Conscious attention. This can be trained through mindfulness, directed attention exercises, or when attention drifts, training allows you to notice and gently return it. 2. Critical thinking and self-reflection. Maintaining an exploratory mindset makes you harder to manipulate. Exploration is driven by 3 innate emotional responses: surprise, curiosity, and interest. Surprise opens awareness. Curiosity motivates exploration. Interest sustains engagement. When these are active, you question rather than blindly accept. 3. Self-regulated emotional management. Emotions should not be suppressed but regulated. When emotions dominate completely, rational thinking decreases. Learning to modulate emotions helps balance pleasure and reason. To strengthen cognitive sovereignty, consider these practices: Practice information fasting. Filter what enters your mind. Not everything deserves attention. Take cognitive pauses. 10 minutes twice a day without screens can restore mental balance. Cultivate deep thinking. Read, write, and reflect beyond headlines. Develop metacognition. Think about your thinking to avoid cognitive biases and self-deception. Define guiding values. Values provide direction. Principles put them into action. Convert stimuli into meaningful information. Separate noise from signal. Maintain healthy doubt. Avoid naivety and question sources. This introduction also points toward resistance, the ability to avoid surrendering easily to the pressures of digital systems. Today, identity itself can be replicated through artificial intelligence, and legal frameworks are still evolving to address identity impersonation. To conclude, here's a brief manifesto of cognitive sovereignty. My mind belongs to me. My attention is my territory. I have the right to pause in an accelerated world. Doubt is a right, not a weakness. Judgment matters more than isolated data. I choose relationships that oxygenate my mind. I claim the right to make mistakes and revise my thinking. I refuse submission to fear-based algorithms. Cognitive sovereignty is an effort to place our mental resources at the service of emotional independence. It invites us to protect our attention, question information, and remain conscious of what we consume. Perhaps it is like a snake shedding its skin, leaving behind what no longer serves us, or like a gazelle, agile, alert, and deeply attuned to its environment. I hope this introduction has been helpful. See you next time.